Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We are in the EMEA, European, Middle Eastern, and Africa zones today for that region. And we are jumping in with actually the Africa division right now. This is one that we haven't covered before. Dave, we're out on the Watopia Figure 8 Team Time Trial race number 5 out here today, and going to be an interesting course. It's a little bit bumpy. It's not just a straight flat shot for a lot of these teams. I think I got you on mute just as a heads up there, Dave.
I apologize. That's my bad, Nathan. Yeah, this course is very high on the spectrum of challenging, I would say, almost all the way tipped to the point where in real life team time trial, I think you'd have riders all over the course. So it's going to really favor the experienced teams for sure, Nathan. The climbs aren't that long, but they're pretty severe, and they come at you in a way that is disruptive for teams for sure. So I've heard a lot. There are no power-ups today, by the way. I know that was sort of in play for a while. So the final decision was made relatively late. So don't give anyone a hard time if you heard misinformation. Sometimes they like to adjust things right up before the race. And that's what happened in this, or not right before, but obviously no power-ups. That's the story. So, Nathan, 30 kilometers out here. It's going to be a long day in the saddle, to tell you the truth, because these are challenging kilometers that we've got.
Yeah, it is. The little bumps in the course. Let's take a look. Cy Bradley actually put something together for us. We'll take a look at the video from him, and you can check him out over on YouTube. But he does a great job of giving everybody an idea of what you're about to take on out on course. Again, though, as a heads up, when this video was made, power-ups may have been in, and a decision was made afterwards. So thanks, though, to Cy for throwing this together for us.
Swifters, welcome to downtown Watopia for the second team time trial so far this season. The first one in London was all about power. This one is all about power and technical ability, knowing the course and getting your riders around this technical course as quickly as possible. 3 power-ups today. We've got the aero, the draft, and the feather. We're on the figure of 8 course. The first technical part of this stage is here at the foot of the hilly KOM reverse. It pitches up quite steeply as we head towards those iconic statues and head right. It then rolls until we descend the other side back into Watopia. Then we've got the first passing of the S's. Again, rolling technical section. The challenge is to keep all 6 riders together at this stage. And then we come back here in the opposite direction to the hilly KOM forward. Ascend this first part together. Get yourselves over the top. And then it's all about ramping that speed up and driving it home. We're then going to take the final passing of the S's, driving it home through these rollers as hard as we can for the final few minutes of this ride before we take that right-hand turn and this flat road towards the finish line back here in downtown Watopia. Dig deep, stay focused, and ride on.
A big thanks to Cy for throwing that together for us. And as he said, he really highlighted the climbing, the little bits of climbing that is out there. But I mean, on Watopia Figure 8, there's just a reality that Watopia Reverse and Watopia Forward, when it comes to the course, are going to be the main places I think a lot of these teams are going to be looking to gain a lot of time, Dave.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nathan. You know what really is the case? It's not losing time, in my mind, if you follow my thought here, because you can only ride your bike, right? So keeping your team together, as Cy was talking about, and keeping calm here, not blowing the team up, and then really just getting off on the wrong step out there is key. We're 6.1K in here. So they talked about bike choice as well. That's always critical in a team time trial. And going with the most there's no such thing as a team time trial bike. The sport isn't quite that specialized yet, but there is a time trial bike option that you can't, I guess you could use it, but it wouldn't make any sense because you don't get a draft on that bike. That's an in-game feature. So using the most aerodynamic road bike that you can find is the name of the game. Even though we talk about the climbing and being severe, those are just detonation points, but they don't make up the majority of the races. There's a significant amount of downhill and flat out here. I see Eddie Uhl's name, Nathan. Here's a legendary squad. So the teams in, and I always have to pause for a moment because one of the great things about Zwift and e-racing out here is that we've got so many variations and the subtle changes, right, between the old premier races, the community that we're in now, and this is really of the 14,000 racers that make up ZRL racing right now. The community is the bread and butter for sure of that. Just so many awesome racers at all the different levels. This is the highest level that we're in with Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Division 1, Africa Division 1, I should say. I know I'm saying Africa twice, but that's sort of the kingdom, xylem, order, genus, species of this, right? I mean, Nathan, actually, I don't know if we've ever even talked about that. That's basically how we break this up, right? Kathy pulls candy on Friday, Great Scott. If I remember, that was the learning mechanism that we had.
Nice one. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow, Dave. You really pulled that one out of a hat because I could not do that one bit. And I don't know if that was the one that we used. I can't remember the acronym that we used for that, but
they're probably regional in America, right? I don't know that we had any much candy pulling where I was, but yeah, I guess that references taffy. But Nathan, you were talking about it pre-show, and one of my favorite things about you is your passion for this racing, and you were stoked. I mean, there's a lot of top racers that we've got, and getting to highlight this Africa group clearly was something you were looking forward to, and I see why.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be one of the most competitive. Here's the thing. I almost feel bad for anybody in this crew because making the final, selections is going to be interesting here to get to the top level. It's a little bit different this season as there isn't. There's going to be season finales rather than playoffs this season. But so it'll be a little different. They'll be able to go head to head with very comparative teams, obviously. But man, is this a competitive crew? I mean, one of the most. I don't know that if we have as far as the depth of community teams goes, I don't know if there is a division that is this intense. I mean, Brad Guerra and this Toyota Priority T team mixed in with one of the longest standing esports teams as well with Fusion ECT, as you see Lyson and Nielsen coming over the top here. I mean, this it just doesn't get much more difficult to race against a crew as this. And then if you've ever looked through the team time trials on Thursdays and wondered who is this team that seems to hold almost every single world record, well, Pio Auto is here, Dave. Like, what? So, I mean, we just walked through three of the top level of esports that have made what it is to be esports almost. And the funny thing is that these crews, they're kind of Toyota Priority T, I would say not quite as much. They definitely have made a big splash at the ZRL level, but these other two crews, when it comes to PO Auto and Fusion ECT, they're old school, as well as this. They kind of do the grind, like they just kind of like grind it out Rocky style quietly in the background. Like, where are they? And suddenly they show up and they're throwing 7 watts per kilogram over the top of the climb here and dominating when it comes to the community league. So it's one of the things I absolutely love. That these guys just love to ride hard and ride their bikes.
Absolutely. One of the things, Nathan, that you helped me with over the last couple of years is realizing that change is really in esports and, computers and the world you live in. Change is always happening. You're constantly, and if something breaks, you'll fix it, right? Or if it doesn't work, you change it again. And that's sort of what we've seen happen with esports racing over the last 2 mega seasons, which are broken down into 3 micro seasons, right? We're into the 3rd micro season of season 2. We've joked about it being like Star Wars. You release them 3 at a time, right? And so now, at this point, I have a feeling, referencing to your comment earlier, that this is going to become the new Premier League, possibly, of this style of ZRL racing, right? Mixing team time trials and points races in this format. And I wouldn't be too, because this time of day here, relatively convenient for almost anyone. Even if you're a working professional, usually you can squeeze out 2 hours midday and call it your lunch on Tuesdays, right? And I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe we start seeing more teams. So birds of a feather flock together. That's a classic saying. And I think it's very true in that these guys are looking for the top competition. And I think you might find it here next year or the next time we reset and start a new season. I hope I'm making myself clear, but because we might be that knockout style of racing that we're going to be going back to with Zwift again tomorrow on the main Zwift channel, Nathan, that seems very, very popular to me. I wouldn't be too. Again, I have no inside knowledge. I don't know anything that anybody else out there doesn't, right? But I just have a feeling that we might see that being becoming more popular and more available for everybody to race. I hope so. It seems like that was what people want. And that's the way things have worked. So, Nathan, let me jump in now and move from that analysis. I wanted to talk about, you mentioned Cryogen. That team has a few South African riders. It's got a really cool mix of nationalities, actually. So we highlighted Brad Guveris, Connor Verbruggen. He's the Irish rider. They've got Aaron Burrell and Eddie Uhl. They're both South African as well. Then New Zealander Jack Poley and Leon Phillip. But you are in, oh, thanks, going back to Cryo. That PO Auto team, these are legends. Now, did you say they had the course record out here? I thought I might have heard you say that.
Good question.
Or,
the thing is PO Auto has held on to tons of course records for a long period of time. So almost every week we jump into WTRL TTT. You notice that PO Auto, a lot of times when we look at the world records, are holding on to them. I'll see if we can get some information for what the current course record, because this is going to be a popular course for the TTT actually. So it'd be interesting to see to have some comparison across, because I think TTT is separate as an event, so course records may not be being set for ZRL, I would think, but we'd be able to compare them across though, because this has been run many times, I believe, in that Thursday TTT. Time's starting to come in though, Dave. 10:41, 10:49, 10:55. PO Auto doing what that. If you wanted to put a predictor down, I mean, I wouldn't bet against this. That's for sure. They already got 8 seconds at the 8K mark.
Neither would I. But I also wouldn't bet against Toyota Cryo. So what you're going to see today is incredibly tight racing, and we'll see Canyon out there. So as I was saying earlier, there's so much to talk about in ZRL. That's one of my favorite things. We will never run out. But Nathan, the teams start based on so the first team out here will be the top ranked team on points coming into this race versus WTRL, which is all about what you had done the previous week and the fastest time. So that explains why Canyon Esports here will be the next team coming through for all intents and purposes. I can't imagine how they wouldn't be the next team coming through here, although you never do know. But so we're still at that first split. We are starting to see how good PO Auto is they put nearly a minute into DBRRT, and that's impressive, to tell you the truth. They're that good, Nathan. You're looking at one of the all-time great squads there with PO Auto Ceramic Speed, and it looks like they're firing on all cylinders as well. So let me give a shout-out to Bjorn Andersen, Emil Towle, Joachim Leeson, and these are some riders that certainly these names are recognizable to anybody who's been a fan of the ZRL or WTRL or just esports racing in general. Now, I'm trying to figure out on my start list, I'm not seeing all of the names, and that's certainly something I'm doing bad. I have those 3, though, and obviously we'll dig in a little more because it's nothing but stars on that PO. This is Emil that we're in with now. He's rider number 2 on the PO Auto Ceramic Speed team. Entirely Danish. Oh, you know what? Is it going to? No? Help me out there, Nathan. I might be missing why I only have 3 guys. It might have something to do with power today, actually.
Perhaps, not sure. I'm looking over there, and I'm seeing 4 there as well. So, actually, I see 5. Just do a quick little reload there.
Oscar Fid, I see.
Jep Falk, and then it's going to be Emil Towle and Bjorn Andersen all on the team.
And also Oscar Vid, right? I thought I just saw.
Yeah, he is out there. Yep, he is out there as well. Yeah, so Emil Towle actually having that in real life UCI pro jersey. rides for Aarhus, Denmark, or a continental level based in Aarhus, Denmark, it says. This guy looks like level 39 Zwifter and really just showing up, it seems, for the team when it comes to racing a lot of times. Has a crazy sprint, but this guy can do 5.29 watts per kilogram for 20 minutes straight at 380 watts. Great asset to have out here today for a team time trial. He has been doing the Zwift Racing League, it looks like, for the last, he only did 3 of them so far, actually, from April 5th, it looks like, onward. And it's had some pretty good results, it looks like, across the board, but no wins for him as of yet in this season. Falk now taking over at the front, 6.5 watts per kilogram as they're about to leave the Essies here. They're going to head toward the sprint section, and it's going to be back on over to Ocean Boulevard, Dave, and up the forward KOM. That'll be interesting. We raced this on Saturday in the Electric Spirit Co., and that was the breaking point. We had this great setup for an attack over the top, but it wasn't a TTT. We just raced it as a scratch race. And it'll be interesting how they take that on because it's such a sharp climb, very short. But if you've got a few riders, if you have 4 riders that can go over the top, full gas as hard as they can, and then recover, in quotes, for 10 seconds over the top, it'll be worth it. To gain a couple of seconds, I would think, over the top there, as long as you don't completely blow up and you can hold on, because essentially you just have like 5 kilometers, maybe 6 kilometers to the finish on the other side of the Watopia forward. I mean, at that point, it's just kind of all in, and you've even got a downhill there to kind of recover a little bit. So, how would you think that these teams are going to take that on? I would think it would be like save what you can, not save, have an amazing first 20-ish start, 24 kilometer start or so, because I think it goes right up to that point in our splits, and then all in over the climb, I would think, for Forward Watopia.
Well, first off, I mean, when you look at this course, there's 2 pivotal moments, and you really need to keep the whole team together through that first climbing sector. What happens at the second sector? Absolutely. So you start with 6 riders here. You have to finish with 4. That's where your time is taken off of. So that second climb, 100%. If a rider is struggling, you let them go at that point. But there is such a long, flat section that the few seconds, Nathan, that you might gain by and odds are pretty good that the rider that's having trouble on that climb, because it does pitch up really severely. It's not that long, but it's really rugged. The rider that's in trouble there, most likely their strength, their skill set, that's where they're weak. They're going to be strong, taking big, hard pulls through that flat sector that makes up the middle third of the course. There's barely a bump to be seen. So then you can let them punch out and day done, take some extra heavy, extra long pulls and completely bury themselves and drop the team off then for that second climb. That would be ideal, to tell you the truth, if you have that rider. This A level, these are all high-quality riders. They're also very well experienced, Nathan, so you don't really see that little shop of horrors that you might with some teams where it becomes...
Oh, my goodness, that is such a great reference, actually, for this. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So to answer your question in short, keep all the team together. Even if it's going to be a few seconds to wait one time. Don't do it again the second time. Okay?
I want to highlight something here. There's a reality that you hear about in some psychology sometimes, and some chatter, almost a meme at this point, but people pay attention to things that are going wrong. And not so much, there's not a lot of tension when everything's going right. Have you seen anything wrong with PO Auto? Like, it's been a straight line all the way through. I mean, when you talk about TTT perfect, right here, there's a little bit of overlap, but I mean, they figure it out so quickly. This is like watching, almost you feel like you're watching AI figure out how to do a TTT in a little bit here. I mean, this is almost
boring.
Perfection right now, with the way that they are riding this TTT in their formation.
You make such a great point there, Nathan. These guys are so damn good at this that it's almost boring to watch because there's no drama. So there's no pushback. Like, I would imagine their Discord is nothing but quick, succinct communication. There's no, I mean, it's just so dialed in. I mean, this is a surgical. Everything you said, Nathan, I agree with, and I would just add that the best thing for other teams to do is really recognize that this didn't come easy for these guys. This was many, many starts in WTRL on Thursdays working together. It doesn't get any better than this. They almost look to me now, because if you see the watts that they put up when they hit the front, I mean, they go to 6 watts per kilo, basically, come off, recover at around 2.8 to 3.2, work their way back to the front, and then do it again for almost precisely 30 seconds. This is
really,
absolute perfection out here.
Really well done. I like the way that they use their surging too. There's so much. I mean, you could spend an entire broadcast going over the way in which that they are executing this, and take a look at each and every poll and how it's ending up. There is a little bit of, I mean, right here, they are starting. So the first half is, of course, the moment I say something, you hadn't seen this, but now as riders are starting to struggle. That
was their biggest problem. You know what I mean? So,
as riders start to struggle, you do end up seeing a little bit more overlap as the precision in the pedal stroke gets a little bit off, and the timing of the power and everything. But as you can see here, you do see Falk now heading toward the front, as you did say. Now it's actually Leeson, excuse me. Leeson's actually the one who's on the front here, 6.5 watts per kilogram. And you're right. They have almost like, this is what you're going to hold. There's so much parity across each one of the riders here. It really seems like they have a very, very solid, this is it, 6 to 6.5, maybe a little bit more. Don't go too much. It's almost like they're controlling themselves as well to not go too far over that. As now Anderson's going to pull through. Perfection with the pull through too, because that was with the timing of the downhill. Did you see how that worked? Instead of leaving somebody on the front, right?
See how Joachim has already
gone roll through.
Yeah, and Joachim has already gone from the front to the back and is tucked back in. No drama at all. This is sweet. So actually, I was very wrong. When I say this is boring, actually, just focus on the perfection that you're seeing here.
Well, look at Cryo RDT, though, Dave. What's going? I was not expecting a challenge to come through.
Right,
it's only a 3-second difference. They're starting to put that. Oh man, whiteboards in the house here today. Everybody's been taking notes, it seems like, because Cryo RDT. This is great to see from this Cryogen team, able to challenge one of the longest standing TTT champions.
I'll be very interested now to see. I mean, 3 seconds difference out here at this point. This will go down as one of the all-time great team time trial battles. This is Eddie Uhl coming out of South Africa here. So the Toyota Cryo team is up for the challenge. Way to rock up, guys. So they are not intimidated. Pio Auto and Toyota Cryo, two of the, you use the term long-standing, well-respected teams that have absolutely become esports legends, and we're getting to see a whole new renewed energy out here. This is week 5 of the ZRL, our second team time trial that we've had in this season. As you said, we'll have a couple finale races to wrap up, so 3 more weeks of racing after this week, but this team, one more team time trial to look forward to. But this course, it's an extreme test of not only your fitness, but your tactical savvy and technical ability. And neither one of these teams is giving an inch out here. As good as it gets, Nathan.
And now you see Fusion ECT smack dab in the middle of those two teams, but a solid 23-ish seconds back from the current leading time as they start to fade. We are getting into that first climb. Let's go ahead and take a quick little look at this course profile quickly to give everybody an idea of what this is all about when it comes to each one of these climbs. If you're not familiar with the figure 8 course, it is going to be that reverse. As you can see, a little bit more gradual. They're taking on that climb, though, right at this point at that about 22 kilometer mark. You see how sharp that is? 8% gradient right now that they are on. There's a little bit of a let off there for a second. You see that little, kind of right in the middle of that climb, you see that little flatten it out for just a moment, and then boom, right up to the top at another 6, 7, 8% gradient here. This little section they're about to hit with this flat, letting off the pedals can lose you a second. I want to see whether or not they accelerate and grab that speed, because taking the speed through this little flattening out section really does matter. It does look like they're going to play that perfectly as they keep it up into that 5 watts per kilogram plus. Going to get them into that 35, 36 kilometers per hour, and that speed is helpful in the second half of this climb.
Yeah, fighting virtual gravity out here in a team time trial is not the norm in real life, and it's part of what makes racing here on Zwift so fun as we get to push the boundaries. This course is, extreme to say the least. More times coming in here, Fusion ECT in with a 21:08. That time next to the teams, that 3 minute, that's their stagger on the start that we're talking about. We're getting things sorted out pretty quickly here as 21:14, so pretty close there between Signature Vega and Fusion ECT fighting for that third spot. It looks like right now, but Fusion ECT not that far behind Toyota Cryo RDT, who are sitting up in second. You can see Canon Esports Beta. The men have put 21:37 up on the board. That's the fifth fastest time right now, and then DBRRT with a 22:15. So we'll continue to update you at that second check out here. We'll be getting another look, a snapshot of the race at 24K, and then they'll be full throttle then at that point as it's downhill and fast to the finish. As we, again, bring more teams through, we'll update our splits board there. This is going to be Fusion ECT. This is a team that's been coming on strong. No question. It's exciting to watch Matthias Leisen, Simon Nielsen, Stefan Christensen, Torben Oxen, all on the, Mads Flashberg. So it's all Danish as well on this squad, Nathan. So, yeah, the Danes have been a powerhouse nation in the world of team time trialing on WTRL and here in ZRL.
I think Oxen, maybe he's got a German flag in game. Is it German over on the on Zwift Power though? Perhaps.
Actually don't have. Oh, you're right. You're right. It is German. Correct.
Gotcha. Only I think guess
What
right
German
from another
there?
country there, quick. But Fusion ECT tends to be a Danish
Possibly
team
a German
for
living
sure.
in Denmark. You know,
Maybe.
yeah, could be. We'll have to ask Molly to check in on that for us while she's there.
4 riders here, as you can see, left, and they were struggling for a moment there. Christensen, they had to wait up for a second to let him back, and that is going to actually have Pio Auto making the catch. Talk about a rabbit to chase here, as they have a team up ahead, give them some motivation to. There's
a strong team. Yeah,
man.
I mean.
Yeah,
it's not like this is dead weight.
No joke. Yeah,
right.
No joke at all. Now, you see here, that climb was absolutely crucial. The amount of time that Pio Auto were able to gain on Fusion ECT was a solid 10 seconds or more that they brought over the top here. So Towle now taking over 5.2, and the speed's up to 47 kilometers per hour already. I think we're going to see a crazy time coming through at the 24 kilometer marker. So women are just starting from west. Just as a heads up, the west women are just getting out on course. I am seeing Sock Schwartz with Leo Thorvaldsen being led out by them. Also, Carden Stelvio are out there with Natalie Stevenson, Joy Munden, and a few others. So we will jump across over to them in just a moment. As we start to get their splits in, going to be around the 8 kilometer mark. So we'll wait for that.
Just a quick point here, Nathan. This is even, if you're trying to set the fastest time on this course, what a huge, this is like drafting a semi as you're coming down the backside of the mountain. As you pass Fusion here, you get to pick up their draft, roll through it, exactly like you talk about. That was good for a second right there. Passing a team that's fast. Because it's not, again, like Fusion is bogging you down. It's like catching a little bit of a roller, a little bit of a wave there. So this is going to be an incredibly quick time from Pio Auto there. Sorry, but I just wanted to get that point in while we had them.
Be interesting to see how they can separate themselves. It's going to be difficult. No, I don't hold anything against them whatsoever through this section. Go on a downhill to separate yourself from another team is extremely difficult with the pack dynamics. So actually, Auto can punch really hard right here to try and get some a little bit of separation.
A little bit of this is on Fusion needing I'm not sure which rider that is, but needing just to sit up a tiny bit there and give them that gap too, because you're kind of cutting against the grain when you get up in the middle of PO Auto, to tell you the truth. So just a little discretion there, and backing out of that group helps everybody out.
I can't. There's at least they're speaking in another language if they're yelling at each other, because I can't.
I think they might be, because to be honest, they're slightly rude. You know, we all know that the teams aren't supposed to integrate each other. But it's very, very hard to hold yourself back. I understand how that happens for sure, but kind of have to just use a little discretion there.
Toyota, we should be getting a time to come in for Toyota Cryo RDT in just a moment. They are past that 26-kilometer marker, so 24K was the time at which it was the mark at which we should be getting something to come in here. They still have. It looks like 12 seconds that has been pulled back from what we can see in the riders nearby list. Eddie Ull now taking over at the front as they're about to head into the Essies for the final time. And it's just a few kilometers to the finish here, about 3.5, Dave. And we're looking at 31:28 and 31:43. PO Auto showing us they are the dominant TTT team.
And they caught that nice break there, catching the third fastest team out on course. And there was also going to be a little bit of a bizarrely helpful adrenaline spike with the slight crossing of swords as the passing happened there. That actually double benefited PO Auto, to tell you the truth, because mentally getting a little bit angry doesn't hurt, to tell you the truth. It actually just taps your adrenal gland as you're scraping the bottom of the barrel right now. And right now it's been a peaceful journey, although a painful one for Toyota Cryo. But that gap now really speaks to PO Auto Ceramic Speed having a phenomenal day. Everything seems to be going their way out here. Toyota Cryo, the big point to make here now, Nathan, is Toyota Cryo, if they do finish second, only gives up 1 point. So the seconds don't really matter now. It's getting second that matters, and they don't. What I'm expecting is we see something over 32:10 for Fusion. Actually, at a minute, right? Expect something over 32:28, basically, knowing that they're the 1 minute team, the team that started 1 minute behind them, has caught them, and that time registered at 31:28, if you can follow my logic there. It's hard to imagine. So this is the points that we've got for the season now, and this would tie things up, Nathan, if they finished where they are right now on course. We'll be deadlocked.
Is that right? No, PO Auto extend their lead.
They add. Oh, I'm sorry. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. I had it the other way. Right. No. So it'll become a 2-point advantage for PO Auto over Toyota Cryo.
Yeah. Yep. No, and it looks like things are going to stay pretty close then. It's interesting, too, that across the board, for the TTT as well as for the points racing, it doesn't seem to be that the genres of racing are benefiting one team or the other. They're just kind of showing up and having a similar level across those types of racing, rather than one team has a bunch of sprinters versus another team has a really, really solid TTT. It looks like it's kept similar across the board of all the races here when it comes to those top three. It does look like they're fighting for the scraps from the table for the lower placings. For Signature, though, that's one of those new teams, Dave, that has shown up as of recently into the community and have caught our attention. And so it's good to see them here up toward the top level and holding down a solid. Actually, they may get the better of Fusion ECT today. They've got, what is that? I mean, that's almost 20 seconds, Dave. They're going to take a third place maybe today, but only gain, what is that? Can be 1 point, but it's still something.
Yeah, exactly. For Fusion, it's more of a bummer because they're 1 more point behind second place. So it shows you how competitive this is. But so if Signature, again, sneaks in there, which is starting to look like they might now, in between Toyota Cryo and Fusion, again, that just moves Fusion a little bit further away from Toyota Cryo. And Toyota Cryo will now be sitting 2 points behind with only 1 race left in the regular season there. So things are Yeah, PO Auto doing themselves a big favor by not missing a step out here today. The team's in no way. One of the great things about Zwift is no matter where you are on the world, as long as you can get internet, you are welcome to join us in the Zwift world. This group, Nathan, might have as many teams using basically one nationality. There's a lot of outliers, even that, like Nathan noted, Torben on Fusion is the one German rider on a mostly Dutch team. But we do start to see teams that are entirely one nation out here, a little bit more in this group. And Signature is all French. Cedric Bernard, Cedric Richard, Danis Camille, Lucien Didot, and Victorien Lanon making up. That's the 5 riders, I believe, that took the start today. And this is Signature that we're with. 30.2 kilometers of racing. All the rough stuff is behind them now. It's smooth say, well, not that smooth. You're going over wooden plank boards, I imagine.
Yeah, the SCs, this part, it can be a love-hate relationship, like, over and over again. So, like, you hit this initial bump right here, and if you're on your limit, because this little bump here, 5%, as you can see here, as you see, it looks like Cedric now heading to the Vedaidat now as well, heading to the front 6, 7 watts per kilogram. I'd want orange numbers over the top of this if I could throw them down, because on the other side, you're going to get a reprieve and then punch and reprieve and punch, because the SCs are just these little bumps over and over again. But this first one, there's definitely some time to gain and as much speed as you can take over the top. My goal in TTT mode over the top of this little climb is to hit 57 kilometers per hour on this downhill section right here and at least get a few of the riders in the Super Tuck if I can lead my team to that. You can really tell whether or not a team is flying is whether or not they hit 57 at any point through here, and just barely going to do so. Maybe a little bit late to actually grab any Super Tuck, but obviously still a very solid speed coming from Signature.
At that point as well with the Super Tuck, I mean, almost any top athlete's going to want to keep pedaling and make more watts and go faster, right? Does the Super Tuck do you much good? If you go into it for 5 seconds, wouldn't you be able to make more watts through that, or am I wrong?
So there's a contention point here between myself and I don't know if it's a roadie thing versus a mountain biker thing or what it is, but me and Kate disagree on this. I've noticed that she's like, no, keep pedaling is better to keep the blood moving and things like that. And I'm totally the opposite. Every little bit of reprieve that I can get absolutely matters. Every little, and I think physiologically for me, what I noticed is that I do gain 1 or 2, maybe 3 heartbeat beats per minute back in those moments, and those beats per minute are energy. For Kate, she says keeping the legs moving and not resting them feels better for her to not get cold, or I don't know. In that situation, though, it's so short, I don't know if you would get cold, but for me, those little bits matter absolutely. And carrying speed, you actually gain more speed from a Super Tuck than you do from pedaling. So the reason why a lot of teams end up with overlap of riders is because they don't pedal when they should to not overlap another rider, and they Super Tuck through their team because speed still wins, right? And so, like, speed still wins when avatars are amongst each other. So a lot of times if I don't want to overlap a rider, I will slightly pedal just a little bit to make sure that I don't actually, because a Super Tuck sometimes will end up screwing up the whole line if you're on a downhill.
So the different body physiologies and mindsets, you both could be right for your case. This is KL Power that we're with now. Canyon Beta, the team. Looks like a few squads have already, Toyota Cryo has finished there. We'll start looking at finishing times. That is their split time at 24K. That is 15 seconds off of that time of PO Auto, who look to be rampaging around Watopia Figure 8 out here today, or Figure 8 reverse. We have 3 teams now across the line. So this is our Europe, Middle East, and Africa Division 1, 30K. So Canyon, just a couple minutes, 3 minutes away from finishing out here. A brutal day of racing. This is top level as well, as we take a look at, let's see now, really, I think the big question was, will Signature Vega get the better of Fusion ECT out here as far as the big picture of our fifth of sixth regular season races here?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, we'll see how this plays out for Signature. It's going to be the deal breaker out here today. Mutant is having a solid go. It looks like against Canyon Esports Beta. Where is Aaron Hunt? Is what I'm wondering, because he rides for the Canyon Beta team and is a monster. We were doing. He's a ride leader in the chase races that we were doing for a while. They changed it up to dual code. So there were chase races on Friday with the Canyon Coalition. We're putting that together, and we'd get a lot of the Canyon Esports team and the Canyon Coalition team and the Beta team all showing up. It was a lot of fun to do in their chase races. And Aaron Hunt would be this just monster out there, really helping lead the A's to try and get the win against the rest of the categories. I'm wondering if he made a sacrifice early on, perhaps, and just kind of threw all of his chips on the table, or was he a no-show today? Would be my other question, because that is a rider that I would definitely want on any team time trial. Because if he's got that in a chase race, I would think he'd be a huge asset here in the TTT.
Well, so going back now with Canyon Beta, and Christopher Lockwood is the rider that we're in with. 4 together. There's the Arch, the gantry that finishes things here. So we'll see what Canyon Beta was able to do. Always a competitive squad. This one is done and dusted. So looks like a little under 30K for a more accurate distance there. I apologize. 29.7. And the final gallop to the line as they open it up. And it's going to be DBR finishing. All right. So we'll see how this one sorts out. No dramatic events out here today. No team is going to climb the ladder or slide down the table. Chutes and ladders. Remember that game, Nathan? So you might be too young. But
no, I
either
remember
way.
Chutes and ladders. I remember.
Okay. So yeah. So no chutes or ladders out here.
Have you seen this kit before, Dave?
I've
never
not,
seen
because
this
I would
kit.
remember. Yeah. Love
tiles.
I like it.
I had no idea that this even existed. This is awesome.
So
this has got to be a newer.
Azul.
This has to be a newer kit. All Portuguese.
So yeah, I am just kind of trying to see if I can find anything out about
Love
these
Towle
guys.
Cycling Esports team riders, all Portuguese. It looks like, and there are 1, 2, 3. I can count actually 20 people
so it's a
on
game.
the team.
Yeah. So you see this colored tiles, and you have a player board.
Really?
Yeah. It's a little complicated for me to be able to be relevant in a broadcast and learn about love tiles at the same time. It would be like having someone teach you cricket while you were trying to do the weather on TV, right? Little bit of a challenge, but we'll learn more about it. Maybe at some point when I see you in DC in a few weeks, we can play some love tiles with our friend Plum. It looks like a pretty fun game. I think it's basically kind of like checkers and chess combined.
Somebody in chat's got to help us out here. Somebody's got to help us out
a
with
Portuguese
love
person, preferably. I have a feeling this
long-standing team. Steven Ludendorff, good leader on this team, always been a part of the team time trials, and they do a great job of streaming some of their efforts as well. Vico now taking over at the front. It looks like they are going to come in. I think they're outside, though, of the top 10 out here today, but good on them. Fabulous Berlin Hot Cranks is what they are. That's what BHC stands for. Oh, no, excuse me. They're in 7th. That's the Fabulous. Threw me for a loop there. 32.59 was their time at the 24K.
I don't know what Hot Cranks are about, but I do know that I can buy Love Tiles Azul at Target in the United States. So it's not exactly obscure. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Now, Hot Legs are what I'm sorry, the team
Cranks.
that you were just Hot Cranks, right? That sounds like a motivation for the team to just stay on the gas, right? As they come BHC Berlin Hot Cranks finishing strong here. They look sharp. Tron bike, great bike for the day. No doubt about it. Actually, I think if you had a Tron, how would you not use that, right? And they're done and dusted out there. Good job, Berlin Hot Cranks. with the Z. You're in the pen.
We jumped over to the north now. We will be covering the north for the mixed men's EMEA. Will be the next one that we will be covering. We'll take a look at the results from the TTT that just went down in front of us. Also a pretty competitive crew, though, as Team Jet are in here, as well as SDW, one of those newer teams that have shown up as of recently. But let's jump in with the Women's West, as we actually have one of the teams that were a part of the knockouts last week, Dave, with Toyota Cryo RDT. And Natalie Stevenson is in here along with a few of the others that had competed in that knockout race out on the Crit City course.
I was so stoked this weekend. First off, while we've got the ladies out on course here, Nathan, you know some of our favorite Zwifters like Jen Reel. Jen finished 6th overall at Belgian Waffle Ride. She rode 220 miles over 2 days. She did the big waffle, the monster 138-mile day with 11,000 feet of climbing. Then the next day she came back. They called it the Dubbelberg. Everything is Belgian, Flemish themed at the event, right? I'm sure you've caught that. So she was 6th overall. That's Jen Reel, who I would say one of our very frequent racers in ZRL and WTRL. And she's on the Saris team with our friend Anna Russell and company. So that being said, Megan Easler was 10th in the waffle race, which is the big monster one. And she ended up 10th in that race. So it is extreme. And a bunch of the cryo riders were out there. Our Sisu friends. I mean, Nathan, I had to have 50 esports Zwifters, Zwift community members come up and say hi. It was unbelievable, including Katie Hedrick, who's from Econowalk. And she actually works at the event. She and her husband, Tony, who's racing Ram, just amazing, amazing people. So just wanted to give those shout outs since we get our riders out. Oh, and I know what made me think of that. I wasn't anywhere near Sammy Stewart, the firefighter racer, who's one of the best sprinters that we've got in ZRL right now, Nathan. Well, she just got 4th at a major women's race in Europe in real life. And I mean, wasn't Sammy racing last week with us here in ZRL? I think it was only a week ago that she had that epic battle.
Yeah, Sammy races in the Central, Women's Central, which we can actually take a look at the results from Women's Central because we usually cover them.
I wasn't trying to prompt you or anything.
No, you did it. That's actually, you actually did a great job there, Dave. You got that up, and we definitely want to compare the times and take a look and see how those played out across the board.
Courtney is her nemesis, right? Coralie Arthur and she have been having some of the best battles that we've had in esports. Oh, great. So this is going to be split times that we're looking at here actually, that's going to be all they've all finished now for our EMEA Central Division 1 women. It was Aeonian. They were rocking and rolling, but
we're bringing these up just to give it a comparison across the board to see what kind of times to give an idea of. I mean, that's the interesting thing is when these teams perhaps go head to head when we get into the tournament style here in the back end of the season. I wanted to compare these to give an idea of like what the level is between them because the TTT kind of tells you a lot when it just comes to pure power as well as experience in Zwift racing. And so, I was expecting, this is almost expected to see Aeonian RT with the kind of experience and power they have to go head to head with Canyon Esports and kind of dominate because Canyon Esports Beta women definitely are more of a sprinters team. They've been really doing well when it comes to the points racing. So you do see there that Aeonian RT walking away with it just a little bit. But at the top there, I mean, Aeonian RT, they've got their work cut out for them up against this Crouch and Stelvio crew.
You make a really great point, though. So, Nathan, you've heard me say thousands of times it's on like Donkey Kong and downtown Pain City and also horses for courses. But it's so true. that certain riders, certain courses are going to be where they shine. Well, for team time trial squads, it's really interesting because it's not about having one good time trialist on the team. It's about the hive, the collective ability. And Toyota Cryo has always been sensational. So has Aeonian. Canyon, you're 100% right. They have a team with some great sprinters on it, and this might not be their forte. Now, not saying that they struggle with it, but it maybe not as much their strength as some of these other teams. Aeonian has an incredible history and a brain trust around team time trialing. I mean, some of the director sportif techniques were developed by Aeonian. They've always been cutting edge out here. This is going to be Charlotte Colclough that we're with right now, the Stelvio Toyota Cryo. Stelvio, they're the climb, and that's one of the things that's fun about our different teams. Toyota Cryo has always featured climbs, and sometimes they even send us scrambling to Google because they're not shy about finding the best climbs around the globe. I think we've a couple times had to look them up. Actually, I have. I think Nathan already knows them all.
It's the other way around. Definitely the other way around. Cryo Stelvio here. They're current leaders in this one. Interesting to see today. Sox Watts are struggling a little bit. A little bit surprised, actually, to see where they're at on the times here. Way down 13. What is going on with Sox for Watts? They've shown up
at the disco. Yeah.
Did they start late?
This is okay. So Nathan, while you
I get the feeling that they started late, Dave. I have a feeling that
they maybe misread their
start time.
Dagger.
I'm going to see what's happening here. What is going on with this here? And we might be able to get.
So they're only 1 point behind. So this is a huge bummer if that's the case. Or you never know, Nathan, because you could have a couple dropouts or something where they had to wait for a fourth rider. How many did they start with? Let's see here. They started with 6. So I don't know. And a lot of times it always comes out in the wash. We always appreciate when we get information from folks out there. The community is so strong in this world. So what's going on out there, folks? Crowdsourcing this one, unless Nathan has an answer, but sometimes can't even figure it out on our end.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really strong team too. So
why would they be starting? Why would they be starting? See how the order here typically? They should be the second team out on course based on everything I know. Is it? Well, I'm going to hold for a second there because I'm going to wait and see when their time pops here. They are. Okay,
yeah,
good.
It says 2 minutes. It says 2 minutes.
So I just want to. Maybe it's something I don't know why they're listed as team 6, but their team should.
No, they're team 6. Their time. That's just their time, Dave.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. That's the like where.
I see.
How are they that far behind?
I got you. Right. Okay. Yeah. I, for some reason, was completely thinking that was impossible. I'm serious. And that we were just getting our first split at 16K. That's how shocking this is, folks. Okay. Well, this is Sox for Watts that we're looking at now. Leah Thorvaldsen was racing this weekend. She is a partner of ours working at Zwift. First ever Zwift Zwift has had some amazing opportunities for women, and Leah has taken advantage of that in her career. And this is a shocker to see Sox for Watts, one of the established teams. They really know what they're doing. And it goes to show you, no matter who you are, you can always have something happen out here.
Looking at Sydney Andrew having a solid ride, it looks like, as she takes over at the front. She gapped her team just a tad with a monster pole just a moment ago. 25.53 down total of racing. They come to 24.33. It's going to be tough to bring back a full 45 seconds if they are that far behind. Perhaps there was a dropout. Who knows? We can't assume too much at this point. We'll see what may have happened.
No, you're right. Although, to say at that time check, Nathan, that's a minute in 8K. That's not just a bad day. That's not just bad legs.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of time. Yeah, it's a good point. Really good point. We'll wait and see what C2I Race Like a Girl comes through with. It's going to be a little bit of time before we get much more. Aeonian and Aces will be the next team to come on.
Well, it is a bad day. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a horrible day. But I'm saying it's not just bad legs, right?
It's a horrible day.
Certainly not what they wanted. I mean, this is going to be a major drop in points if they can't. I mean, really now, this is where, Nathan, as a director, you've got to get everybody calm, get back on the same page, and start whittling away. And I mean, in all honesty, this is where over the radio I'd be saying, we're too good for this. We got to buck up, get organized, and start picking off teams and get back into the top 4 or top 3. And really, at that point, you really have to get inside their head and motivate them to snap out of it.
They've brought some time back. They've done a great job, it looks like, here, of, keeping.
They could end up top 3 today. They really
they
could.
still do, even with a little bit of a struggle bus up front here. It'll be interesting if they're able to do so. As you do see Ionian on the
Struggle
chase.
bus. That's a good term for kind of what happens, right? The concept of struggle bus. But you can turn a struggle bus into a Lamborghini. It's just not easy to do.
4-1. I'm loving the formation coming in from Ionian right now. Straight line formation coming through on the dirt here. As you can see, man, I got the men's race up here that's about to start real quickly. And these guys, they always scare me. They scare me because if anybody else ever been in a team time trial in the pens waiting for your turn to go, right? And I saw it at the beginning of the women's race here as well. Someone always keeps pedaling. Someone always like as soon as the banner drops and they go forward just a little bit, and it just scares you so badly that they're going to mess their whole. Yeah, they just lurch. And you're like, stop. Yeah. Don't go forward. Stop. And
it's like watching a car when someone gets out and leaves it in drive in the parking lot. They, you're like, whoa, and then they top back in. It always stops in time, but you're like, man, you almost drove into the bank, dude. Don't do that.
Yeah,
so,
Jet with the Ibuchi here did that just now, and I was like, "Oh, is he gonna mess his whole?" And everyone yells at
because
you. Everyone yells at you.
Yes, rightfully. That's a good time where that's helpful yelling. So, Aeonian, Nathan, listen to this. So Ellie Sykes, you were just with her. She's become a very talented rider to watch. Josie Rosignol. On this team. She's the Canadian on the squad. I mean, I love this team. Amy Henderson. Andrea Heinrich is the German. Amy is an American. Ellie from the United Kingdom. Jamie Lee Wright, the pride of Gurney there. And team founder and all-around good egg, Jamie Lee. Good luck out there. And then Rebecca Kearney, you were in with, and this is Becca right here. As the Aeonian team still has, is it 5 or 6? It looks like 5 now, which is not bad, actually better than most. And they're rolling here into the final third of the course. Getting that last sector of climbing past you is a huge relief, but that's still, as you come out of the Aqua Tunnel here, big sector coming up for Aeonian. They're on a great day, though.
Yeah, leaving this section and heading on up over the top of the Watopia forward climb is going to be crucial for them. We'll see what kind of climbing they can pull off here. It does look like the time is going out a little bit more to Thorvaldsen and the crew here from Sox for Watts. We'll see if they I think there's going to be a lot of motivation in just a moment here to smash this climb as hard as they possibly can to see if they can bring back any amount of time. Let's go ahead and see if they have done so at this point to try.
They are. Yeah, I mean, if you look at what Leah's doing here, they're going to move into. I don't know that they can get to third, but I see them. Well, again, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse here, but that last pull from Leah, that was a mega pull. Alice Lethbridge, Kat Haynes, Alana Wuyan. So you know what I think this is here, Nathan? What's going on? It's a new mix of Sox for Waters. Sydney Andrews, big talent, the American that I would say one of the top up-and-comers in esports right now. So Lethbridge, Haynes, Wuyan, Van Hain, and Andrew, there's a lot of talent here. Maybe, how would you put that? They just had to find their stride is a good way to put it. Because I don't know that these women have raced together in the team time trial mode as much as you might think for a team that has possibly a record number of wins in the WTRL. That's a good question. Who is it? Is it Hino? Is it Sox for Watts? Who is the best ever in WTRL? There's so many great racing leagues that we have, but WTRL has defined team time trialing for the last 160 or so weeks, as you well know, Nathan.
Yeah, it's a good question. The thing about Sox for Watts and the Hino team is that there's a little mixture between them, right?
That's a good point. Hino's not a great example. So, yeah.
Well,
there
no,
have been a couple.
I think, I mean, a lot of these teams have had their different times when they shined, and then they kind of morphed into other teams or grabbed riders around. So, I mean, Sox Watts have had a lot of the Hino talent ride for them in the TTT for the WTRL, but I think Sox for Watts perhaps would be the longest standing.
So
I would say. I mean,
Sisu, I Raced Like a Girl was strong,
Sox
but
Watts,
they
I think, is really the ones that would hold down the longest standing consecutive wins. I would think in the TTT for WTRL. I would think, but this is, as you were saying, Dave. This is definitely not the same team. This is, I mean, I think Leah Thorvaldsen and Haynes perhaps are the only ones that were even amongst that mix of riders that dominated for so long. And this is more of a newer team coming up when it comes to the talent that is on it for sure.
Things change, Nathan, in cycling so quickly these days. Like there's a woman named Mo Wilson who won Sea Otter, has won a ton Grasshopper races up in NorCal that are mountain bike events. And she won Belgian Waffle Ride. Second place was 25 minutes behind her. And you say, well, guess it wasn't that strong of a field. Well, it was a very strong field. Tiffany Cromwell was third, the World Tour rider on Canyon SRAM, whose a partner, Valtteri Bottas, was there. The F1 driver for Alfa Romeo raced and won his age group. It was just bananas. But that being said, Sydney Andrew is who I'm talking about. She's a level 50 Zwifter, which for those not on Zwift, that's the highest level that you can obtain. That is demigod status among Zwifters. She, though, is relatively new to the team, I believe. I'm kind of going back and trying to trace her.
That is true.
Right. And so it takes a little while with the team time trial team, no matter how. And Nathan, you've done a bunch of guest riding, jumping in with teams, and I think you would acknowledge that every team has a different vibe. You have to learn how they do it. It's not like you have to completely reinvent the wheel, but you have to learn their code and understand their mindset of how the racing works, because everybody does it a little bit differently out here.
And you're now backing off, who we were just talking about there, 4.8 watts per kilogram coming on through from Thorvaldsen. I think the two of them kind of taking over the top of this climb, making sure everybody's still together. It does look like KV Hein is going to be
have to
off
let her go.
Back. Let her
this
go.
This is where you have.
It's a good call.
Yep, sorry.
It's a good call.
Sorry, but bye-bye. Yep, don't wait. Because keep riding. If we need you, you'll ride back up into the team. It's going to be now so let's call it 7K to the finish. And this is where Nathan, I 100%, you and I would be
I see some
in agreement.
Indecisiveness that should not have happened there. They lost time with that indecisiveness there. They really should have just pressured on.
Isn't this a no-brainer? It is to me. To press on with 4 here.
2 seconds. Over the top there. And the moment needed to be called. And a lot of times it comes down to DS or no DS as to whether or not you can even make the call quick enough. Because you can't breathe.
Point.
You can't speak over the top.
And
if you have no DS, you're trying to push a button while unable to pedal, while trying to talk, and you can't breathe. It's like someone has to make the call. And then you don't even know if you have the authority to make the call, right? You're like,
I was just going to say, have you ever had a job where no one's sure who's in charge, or been in a situation where there's a question of who's the final say, or where does the buck stop? You can't do that here. And I'm not saying they are, but you really need an authority there to say, an adult in the room. I heard it put this weekend, but you really do need the one person that just says, this is what we're doing. And then, I mean, it's not like we're in the army or anything here, but it is one of those moments.
That comparison. That comparison of the adult in the room, though, is perfect, because you are just like flailing children over the top. I mean,
someone needs to say, no, everyone shut up, we're going. Get in
exactly.
the van. Get in the van.
Exactly. Everybody get in the van, buckle your seatbelts, head down the final 4K. Let's go. It's over.
Yeah. This is your get in the van moment for sure. You know, the last kid is wandering around looking for another straw for their Slurpee, and you're like, okay, we're done. We're moving. Okay,
Sydney Andrew heard you. She heard you. She's getting in the van. She slammed the door and pedaled down to the metal 5.7 watts per kilogram from Andrew. She's done with the children. The adults are in the room, and Andrew's taking over.
Looking at her Zwift profile, clearly this is a rider who's done her work. She's on the, you look at the quality of this team. That's a great indicator that Sydney Andrew is a rider to put that name down in pen. You're going to be referencing it. You're going to hear more from her. They're going to come flying back now down to the finish line. The nice thing about, actually, it's funny. You'd say, oh, that's beautiful. It's downhill. You can just kind of free wheel. Well, no, they're pressing. And following the Nathan Guerra School of Racing, they slam it into a super tuck for a moment. And for their physiology, I 100% agree with what you were saying, Nathan. If it works for you, you do that. Sometimes things might not work, or even, Nathan, if they think it doesn't work for them, but you know it does. Like, I know that pistachio ice cream is good, but I have friends who don't think that, and I can't convince them it is, right? So it's better for them not to have pistachios. If you don't want a super tuck, don't super tuck. Do you? It really is microseconds that we're talking about there, but these races can be won and lost.
We didn't take the course record on London last week by 0.3 of a second. All that happened is me and another rider didn't give an extra sprint to the line. We thought it was over and done, whatever, and we ended up not taking the course record on London because of it. So those microseconds and TTTs, you wouldn't think so, man, but it comes down to just, and that's so beautiful about team time trialing is how close these riders are in ability. You know, when it really comes down to finding the fastest times out on this course. Like, if there was these huge time gaps and you didn't have it coming right down to the line, you kind of be like, well, okay, whatever. Is this really racing? Is it really tactics? What's happening here? But it just, that part of team time trialing is one of the most beautiful things for me about it, is how close it ends up being in the end. It really is like a sprint to the line amongst the pack in some ways with microseconds, but with this coordination between the teams across all these different time zones and across the entirety of each specific event. It's so cool to watch it play out.
Could not agree more. If we have a chance, Nathan, the I Race Like a Girl team, that Sisu I Race Like a Girl, boy, this is a star-studded squad that they've got today. Mostly American on that team. Carly Johan is racing today. Strong Ellen Tarquinio, Kate Leigler, Lenny Ramsey, and Meredith Kessler. There's not a rider's name on this team I don't recognize. That's a talent-laden squad. They look good. They look like Pio Otto, don't they? This is a team that knows exactly what they're doing. They've cracked the code a long time ago. This is where it comes down to, honestly, Nathan, at this level, not just you, but do most of the team have good legs today? Because if they do, they could be in that course record-setting mode. So Crowds Stelvio, fastest time, it's a 35:08. How good are they? Insanely good out here, as we see that they've got a nice advantage over Crush Pod, the Noms, and Sockwatt's Aero Astro Unicorns 37:07 right now. So let's watch how things fill in here. It's a wild, crazy day out here on Watopia.
Just want to point out that this Sisu team didn't show for a couple of races, and so they're at the bottom of the start list in 7th place. They start last, but
they're better than that.
They came through in second
than
place. They came through in second place for the time splits so far, though. So they probably will take second place out here today. They are not a points race generally team. There are a lot of triathletes on this team, and so they have
not that they're bad. I know what you're saying. It's not their forte. This is their forte.
The difference being in that their sprint is not going to be as strong as their threshold.
Uh-huh.
So their threshold riding, their ability to just do big watts for long periods of time and really steady consistency, that's going to be what we're going to see from this team. And that is why they are one of the best team time trial teams amongst the women in the world. And it's showing up today. Only the leaders of this division are currently ahead of them, and they might not remain ahead of them. They might be able to win on the day. It was only, looking at the time gaps here, it looks like it was only 11 seconds at the 16K mark. It was less than 11 seconds at the next K mark. I mean, we're looking at 7 seconds here.
Yeah.
They could have bring this back and win on the day. Even though they're at the bottom at 30 points, they could end up with a 20-point day out here today.
This is like having one of the smartest kids in class who never shows up, but except for the day of the tests and aces them, but missed so many days that they got relegated on attendance and end up getting a C, right? It's just you got to show up every week if you want to be competitive in the overall. But again, just throwing no shade on Sisu, as who knows what's going on, but here they are racing today.
I think a lot of them had in real life races, Dave. Probably too,
absolutely.
Right? The try scene started pretty early. I mean, for me, it starts pretty early in my head, but I think I just live in Wisconsin.
It never stops. That they do they're always doing try. But maybe some of these women might even be in St. George, Utah right now racing on hotel Wi-Fi, possibly.
I wouldn't be surprised one bit.
I wouldn't
honestly.
either.
I would not be surprised one bit, or getting on a plane after this, right? Like. I wouldn't be surprised in any way whatsoever if there's plans to be in St. George.
Half of this team could be in St. George, Utah right now, actually. So what I'm referencing is
if they are, please send us Instagram pictures of you guys racing next to each other in St. George, Utah, getting ready for the World Championships. It'd be pretty awesome to see, actually. Speaking of, the Zwift Academy Tri team is all down there as well, hammering away. Really cool to see what they're up to. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these riders are actually a part of like hanging out with all that. So very cool. That's the kind of level we're talking about here and why it's such a big deal that CSR Race Like a Girl are pulling off what they are here, maybe with a win, even though being the last to go out. Really cool to see them chase everybody down.
Absolutely. And also if they're on good form, right? I mean, this is the targeted part of the season for most triathletes in that world. So jumping around now as we're looking at a finish here for the Sox for Watts teams. We had a nice chance to highlight Sydney Andrew today and continue to. It's fun to watch the trajectory of these careers as the arc of this team continues to be strong. It's not coming back down. They continue to just have an incredible run, finishing with 4, and that's what's important. Start with 6, hopefully, but your 4th rider is where we take your time, and that one is done and dusted for Sox for Watts. We're in with the women now, racing out of. We have a lot of racing to look forward to later today. We'll be into the Americas, America's East, America's West, but this is EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, the West Division 1. So, doesn't matter, though, necessarily where you are in the world or what your nationality is, has no difference as far as anybody can race in any time zone. But what you'll see is a majority of European-based riders. Here's a strong rider, no doubt about it. Got a lot of love for Crush Pod, and you're in with Strasser. They've got 5 riders here together for Crush Pod, sitting 3rd fastest at that last split, but they're only a few hundred meters away from finishing. So, Nathan, let's bring them home.
Looking through at Crush Pod here, we did see Sydney Andrew coming on through with the rest of the Sox Watts team and Leah Thorvaldsen just a moment ago, and I just wanted to highlight something you had said, the different makeups of that team. It's really cool. Sometimes you have a team that ends up being based around very specific team members, which is really cool to see. But at the same time, we've seen a lot of different makeups of that team, which means that brand and that team has really been committed to the world of Zwift racing and has, created development around it as well, which I think is really
and
cool
growth.
To see them bringing on growth and juniors and riders that are up and coming and continuing on with the Sox for Watts legendary status that they do have, and putting that on into the future here. As we just see Alan Tarquino out of the United States taking over at the front. Carly Johan on the wheel, 5.3 watts per kilogram as they leave the Essies, about to finish up their race.
So this is another clinic being put on here by Sisu. I Race Like a Girl. Love the Sisu movement. One of the strongest, best vibes that you've got in esports coming out of Sisu right now. And I Race Like a Girl has been such a high level. So these ladies got the throttle open as they're going to grip it and rip it down to the finish line now as they got a nice chance to build some momentum. Nathan's very astute when you talk about gameplay and Swiftcraft. And momentum is critical to maintain. Once you've got it, keep it going. And that's exactly what you love this, don't you, Nathan, when you see these moments where they're just rolling through now. When you can find a little more speed, just push it forward. And this should be a great time today. Is it going to be better than cryogen? I expect this goes down to I expect less than 2 seconds separating first and second, the gold and the silver medal out here. Crush Pod Norms should be able to hold off Sox for Watts for third here today, but Sox for Watts did fight back, and I'm proud to say they lived up to it. Nathan, they had a bad start, but they didn't let that define their ride today. This is going to be LEQP by stages out here, and Joe that we're picking up as they're down to about 1.5K to go. 5 together, that's a good sign here.
Yeah, it looks like solid little ride coming in from them. Good to see them finishing up their SEs now, 173 beats per minute, currently coming from Joe as she rolls on through to the front. We'll be jumping in with the men's racing in just a moment. David Clarkson, I appreciate your comment about the commentary tonight. We did cover pretty in depth, actually, the cryo brand across all of the racing, actually, if you want to go back to the broadcast. Maybe you're just jumping in. But definitely at the beginning, and chatted a little bit about Stevenson and Kolkloff and how awesome they were in the knockouts last week as well. So
big fan.
Yeah, huge fan of those guys. So not sure what broadcast you were watching, David, but have fun and appreciate you.
People say that to me all the time when they hear my commentary, though, Nathan.
Yeah, it's okay. Just wanted to highlight the truth of the broadcast and
I'm joking.
Interact with him.
Sometimes people ask me, "What race were you watching?" I'm just kidding. But you know what? That is part of, too, the your interpretation of how the racing went, or, it's sort of through the filter of how you like to see what riders you're pulling for. And I get it. People are very passionate about
I'm passionate about CarRDT too. They're pretty awesome.
I tell you, I know. I've been it for a long time.
So yeah,
actually,
I don't think that's ever been. Guys.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they know it too, because I've gone overboard about that team many times.
Yeah, I don't know.
I felt like I've got more criticism for being too cryo-friendly.
That has a lot more to do with like probably a brand association in another way, if that makes any sense, and maybe other frustrations.
Yeah.
So we'll just let people have those and go and figure that out. Now we're jumping in with the. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Oh, well, so I just announced Belgian Waffle Ride this weekend as we're bringing these teams in. Actually, midway point as we'll jump in with another category. Just a couple points I wanted to make sort of on those notes, Nathan. We had 4,000 riders. Almost every rider had a couple friends or family members that came down, and they really wanted to hear their friend get his name or her name called out when they finished, right? And when it's 4,000 people and you're there all day, you really start to realize that there are a tremendous number of people this is a bucket list moment for them. And I also get that whether it's Platinum League on Thursdays with WTRL or racing here in ZRL, that when riders see a friend or a family member, or they hope to see a friend or family member out here, it means a lot to you. And so I know that you don't take it lightly, Nathan, at all. And so that's where I'm going to dovetail into this, is that I know how many folks want to see the same thing, friends, family, racing out here. But we really, when you try to please everybody, you please no one. So what we're trying to do is give a little more in-depth coverage, give you a feel for who the racers are, try to do some storytelling. And final point here, Nathan, sorry, but you can help us, especially on Thursdays with WTRL, is if you're willing to take the time and put together a quick spreadsheet or just gather some information about your team. We have always loved it, and it's a great way for us to highlight you and your team, or Not it doesn't have to be you, a team that you love, and it's a win-win-win for everyone. So I'm asking you to help me help you in that way. If you have a story to tell, help me tell it, and I would love to.
Thanks, Dave.
So,
Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely want to
of
back that
course,
up and bring that on in. And we will be starting to do some records and features as well. So if you want to get some of that in, make sure to contact us and we'll do some awesome additional
we never
content.
say no. Nathan, I've
No.
never heard you say no, and I have brought you some crazy requests and bios in Russian or whatever, and you've always figured out a way to do it. So
Bios in Russian. Oh my God.
I haven't quite been that bad for you, right? But
Okay,
I
let's
just
take a quick look
appreciate
at this here, Dave. We got to
All
jump
right.
in with these, otherwise we're not going to cover the north as well. So we got to make sure we get that.
Too
But
much
yes, I'll make
talking
that
about
there.
talking. Too many. Okay, so yeah,
Bio Auto, they
let's jump
take it down, Dave. 38-17. Not surprised, but Toyota Car RDT right
pretty
on
close.
their heels. 14 seconds. Their signature a full 57 seconds back, and Fusion fading as they were competitive up front, but ended up maybe throwing too many nuclear bombs of the watts early on and end up 115 back for fourth place. There's going to be Mutant there, 10 seconds back from them in fifth, followed up by Canyon Sports, Bait Up Men there in sixth. Fabulous Berlin Hot Cranks in for seventh with the Love Tiles Azul coming in for eighth, and DBR RT at a 254 back. They end up in ninth place. That's the situation for the EMEA Africa Div 1. Pio Auto, still one of the fastest TT team times out there, teams out there for sure. Dave, we're going to have to go quickly through these, but go ahead and give us the Bs for that Africa.
Yes, sir. DBR Tornadoes on top of the table, 41-44 their time. Second place going to the Kirkmeyer B1 Drafting Bees. This is Division 1 Bees out of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Vikings Gelpnir in third. It's Guahir, the Windlord. Awesome name. We'll revisit that in fourth. Pain Cave Pundits in fifth. EDDK Danish Devils in sixth, and Valhalla Hofund in seventh. We'll reference the Windlord. Back to you, Nathan, for the C's.
And in the C category, it's DCR Crazy Frogs at a 45-59 for Div 1C in the Africa EMEA. AVC Climbing Brakes, 23 seconds back for second. E-Cycling Denmark C in third. And Adam Racing Team Mesotrons in fourth is a familiar name. Welcome to ZRL and good to see you here. Cryogen Iceron here in for fifth. It's going to be Vikings Osberg in sixth. Team NLC 6 in seventh. KRTC Love Guns in eighth, and ABR Discovery. That is your EMEA Africa C for Div 1. There are no Ds here in this in Africa region. But and then for the women's, and we'll jump right on in with no pins R3R. But it does look like, wow, David came right down to it between Toyota Car RDT and
said less than two.
I thought they were going to do it. It was 0.6 of a second here, Dave. Go ahead, Dave. Take this away.
Heartbreaker from Sisu's perspective. What a win from Cryogen Stelvio's perspective. Ladies, that was legendary. They did the work. Look at that. 4.3 watts per kilo, 42.41. So Toyota Cryo RDT taking a huge win. And again, that was from a Sisu team that it's no surprise to see them up there. They brought the pressure, firing all cylinders for silver. Crush Pod Norns for third, Sox for Watts, Astro Unicorns in fourth, Aeonian Aces fifth, and Femme Forte powered by Stages in sixth. That's the A's. What a week. Back to you for the B's, Nathan.
Let's see how many B's have gotten across here. We may have a full list. We do. It's going to be Herd of Little Penguins there, 45-59. Electric Spirit Coke Clover Club coming back a full minute. Wow, Herd of Little Penguins, they are flying. How did those penguins get so many watts in their legs?
They walk
tiny
fast.
Legs.
They waddle.
Yeah. What a waddle
Power
coming
waddle.
in from the Herd of Penguins. Alien Banditas there, 119 in third. It's going to be Bellavilo there in for fourth. Team Italy, Boom Girls coming in for fifth. Crush Pod Word in sixth. SZ Ire in seventh, followed up by Herd. Magellanic Penguins. I thought they would have
Magellan is the reference.
Magellanic. Okay, but they're bigger. Aren't they bigger? I would think that they would have more watts. I don't know what's going on there, but
you never know. Maybe they weren't on a good day. Maybe they didn't get enough krill or whatever penguins eat. Crushpod Dandy. Well, they were dandy. 48.05 for the win there, but look at that. Exactly even on power, basically for the top three teams, but exactly for the top two. Kirkmeyer, C1W, Team B's, 7 seconds back. Nathan, I would love to be able to break that down with Anna on the whiteboard. Herd of the Penguins in Fuego today. Herd of Gen 2 Penguins will take third. SZ Jord in fourth for our friends at Swedish Swifters. Hope you had a good vacation, Martin. RC Field 1 Rebulunas in fifth. Sox for us, Whatnot sixth. Herd of Rockhopper Penguins in seventh. And WTRL Sea Line rounding out our top 8 for the C women in EMEA West. I know we're trying to jump into the racing, so I'll throw it back to you, Nathan.
And there is no D category, so let's go right down in with the no pins R3R. It's going to be the first team to jump out on course. Let's go ahead and see what the current times are. And no pins R3R, remember the 21:03. They came through with a 10:50 actually at the first checkpoint. Absolutely flying 10 seconds faster. But the Cheesecake Crew from HDR bringing it back by 2 seconds. It looks like Wahoo Laco 21:19 just coming in, really losing some time on that 16K marker actually compared to what they came through hot up front here. Scanalatori Serielli Magnetic, they started fourth and they were tied with Wahoo Laco at 11:04, only 4 seconds by HDR Cheesecake Crew. Very interesting to see what they're going to come. They come through. Oh, wow, look at this. Very, very close here between them and Wahoo Laco for that third place. So that's the interesting situation currently with that top 4. That battle for first and second is going to play out right now in front of our eyes, I think, with this climb that we're watching. I think this is going to be everything when it comes to HDR versus no pins. What is going on with Jet, though?
Pardon?
Dave, Jet are way back in 5th, and they are currently second place overall.
Maybe they can channel their inner Sisu. I race like a girl who closed down a tremendous amount of time, but giving it up to Cryo, they end up winning. But Nathan, look at this now. Scanalatori, Seriali, Magnetic. I just wanted to say it. You said it so well. I wanted to see if I could. They are only 17 seconds back with a brutal sector still to come. This one is still in play, to be honest, for 4 teams. I'm not counting them out. Wahoo Laco just sitting there only 1 second in front of them. So that's 4 teams stacked up like cordwood there on top of the table. No pins R3R men in good shape. Well, I shouldn't say in good shape. They're certainly in good shape to be on the podium here, but they've got to fend off Australian Hump Day Ride and Cheesecake Crew. Is there a better name than that? Cheesecake is a lot of folks' favorite sugar upload after a hard day of riding, and they're earning it out here today. This is Jet. Do they finish better than 5th today, Nathan? That's a really, really tough bet. It really is, because that means that they're going to have to close down 20 seconds on 2 really strong teams just to get into that. When I say better than 5th, that would obviously be 4th on down, right? That I wonder, what would you guess? I'm not asking you specifically too, but just thinking about that at home, because they just might.
We'll see what they can bring back here. I did see one of the riders just say, hang on. He just said, hang on in the chat here.
Well,
like, don't let my wheel go here. So, and I mean, here
actually,
from Jet and Beatty just taking over at the front. And this is Premier Division. I mean, these guys are Premier Division level. I mean, Jet have been at the top of the community for quite a long time here as Beatty takes over. I mean, we'll see what they can pull off. 5-7, though, this is not what we're needing to see from them in order to try and take down the likes of Wahoo Laco. Look at Electric Spirit come in. Where are they coming from?
Not on Discord, I guess, if they're communicating here. Right? Would that be?
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
So
I do think you're right.
That's a little surprise at this level. That's going to be Kama Milano. I'm talking also some of the Japanese. It's actually mostly Japanese on Jet. You're right, Nathan. They were very much welcomed presence in the Premier League. Kat Yaguchi. They do have the one American, Reb Beatty, but I have a feeling Reb must live in Japan. Takashi Inamini, Sutomu Iwabuchi, and Yuki Shimodi. That's your Jet team that we've got out here.
Look
and
at
a Russell signature headband.
Look at the situation there. They're currently in 9th place. I have a feeling perhaps a couple of no-shows as well. and they are in third though.
Who did they bump?
2109, and
Yep.
they could win. They could win. 6 seconds
You know
is on the
what?
table here right now. I mean, if they're able to pull this off, that's a huge jump in points, actually.
Every now and then, is this the timing? It updates a little bit. And Scanalatori there is a 2120 now, so this is interesting here. Electric Spirit Co. I went to their webpage, Nathan. That is a no joke brand. The world gold medal gin. I don't know what the Super Bowl for gin is, or the World Cup for gin, but they have their products. It's not just it's not bath water that they're making there. It's pretty awesome stuff. So it's nice to see they've got a cool sponsor like that. Someone on the team must be involved with the distillery. But check out their webpage. Super impressive. No Pins R3R, super impressive. That was not a paid endorsement, by the way.
They also make a really cool casket. Just so you know, too, a hat. I just got one in the mail for some reason.
Oh, really?
Something to do with like winning winning their.
Sure.
They actually give away
Thanking you.
prizes for winning their races. So I got a little.
So you know what that must
Electric
be?
Spirit Co. Orange. It's all orange, just like their brand.
Yeah.
I really love it. I gotta get a picture of that out on Insta.
So clearly, this is like a super brand, right? They're highly respected. As I said, they win all of these awards. They must have an incredible gift shop at wherever the distillery is in Scotland. And I bet you, because you've been so helpful with aren't they leading recon rides on Saturday at Electric Spirit?
Well, they're races. They're full gas races.
It's the races, right?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
full
So recon race,
gas races.
right?
Yeah, and they're
but it's the
also
same
very
course.
popular because they're also really, really popular because they're the same course as this, but they're also mass start races. So all the categories start together. So the men and the women. So you can really jump in the rankings too. For Zwift Power
Is this
rankings.
Katie
Katie
Loker?
Loker, who rides for Electric Spirit Co., says that they didn't have enough racers in week 1. That is why they are down in points a little bit here. So thanks for the info,
How awesome
Katie.
is Katie? So Katie is certainly, when you have people, that's
The
what I love
pocket
about our
rocket.
community.
The Splinter.
Wow, she's been amazing. So, like, remember when Teppo Lorio will chime in the chat. All kinds of great riders. Liz Van Howling. So it's really, really cool to see the best athletes in esports. So, Katie, you are a legend, and we're big fans here at Zwift Community Life. So always nice to have you join in too. Urban Peddler, Nathan. So this is they're flying 67K per hour right there.
So just coming in 24K marker, 32.17 from No Pins R3R as they make their way toward the Essies. I did want to highlight the HDR Cheesecake crew because they are on the heels there by only 3 seconds at the 16K mark. They will be coming through. They should be coming in with their time here momentarily to see what they, as well as I think Jet, will also be coming in with their time in just a moment. And maybe even Wahoo Lacole will get an idea from them as they are just coming over the top. And not quite there as we do see Clark here over the top of the climb. This is quite the team. Holy cow.
I think it's worth noting, Nathan, when you talk about course records out here, that would include WTRL, correct? On Thursdays, if it does, if it does, they start with 8 riders, and on a course like this, it would make any course.
Yeah, there's some questions about that I saw in chat. I'm not even sure.
Oh,
if
okay.
we track
I was
them.
wondering.
I don't even think we track them here, like in a comparative manner. I'm not sure that there's even because of the differences.
Kind of apples and oranges.
Yeah, when you have 8 riders versus course records for 0
that would be like saying,
not tracked. I'm seeing that right now. That's absolutely true. So no, there's no course records going to be set here.
Nice job, because that would be like one of the soccer teams has 11 players and the other team has 8 players, and make that a fair game, right? So
exactly.
I
think Clark knows he's on broadcast right now.
Well, he's crushing. 32.17. Oh, that's WLC that we're talking about. Wahoo Lacole A2. They got a quick time. They're in the mix here. No doubt about it. So they'll certainly be top 3. 32.17 at 24K in for No Pins R3R men at 32.19. This one's going to be close. No matter how this one sorts out, Nathan, the team that wins it is going to have to press incredibly hard in that last 2K to be able to eke out this. So we had a women's race that just ended. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've got it at 0.6, 0.6 of a second difference over 30K of racing with two significant sectors. You got to get through 2 pinch points to even make it into the mix for the finale. And to be that close, it's amazing. It's what esports is all about. I absolutely love this. Dunphy, Urban Peddler is the rider here as they're down to, let's call it,
What
at
is
this
this
point
bike
now,
selection, Dave?
3K.
What why did I wonder why? Like I'm like confused a little bit here. I wonder what the thinking was here. Was he concerned about making it
What?
over the climb perhaps? I mean, I'm going to take a look and see perhaps Dunphy. Ah.
Is it
Okay.
what level is he?
Well, no,
looking.
it's I think it's a watt per kilogram issue. He said, "I'm not going to make it over the climbs with you guys." He's got pure watts. He's almost done 400 watts the entirety of the race.
His
here so
bike
far.
wasn't. His bike choice wasn't to accentuate his strength; it was to try to limit his weakness.
Exactly. So I mean, great to have him on the flats with you and the downhills, but then making it over the top of the climb, I think, was his concern. So
he
went ahead
wanted
and
to
picked
be
a
there if
lighter
they
bike.
needed him.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
made it now too. Maybe it worked out for him. I mean,
I'm impressed.
In the comparison between, I mean, the next closest rider is within 10 kilograms of him. So, I mean, he's definitely a monster when it comes to watts here, obviously, but it's going to be difficult to hang on in the climbs. And he's played it correctly, I think, for his bikes. I was really confused by that. Like, really? Is this what you're going to do? But it looks like he changed it up and it worked out for him. Nice one on Dunphy.
Yeah, that tracks for sure, and it shows you how bike choice was something that it takes a little while to appreciate how important that can be out here, especially.
Look at the monster watts roll through at 54 kilometers per hour right now, too, Dave. I mean, this is no joke. 500 watts on a flat. Yeah. This guy's going to produce monster speeds. They roll right on through jet, and this is for the win, perhaps. This isn't just like back of the pack fodder here at this point that's not going to take down this race, perhaps. This could be crucial from this rider being able to make it to this point.
Yeah, I just want to clarify for people watching the broadcast, Urban Peddler is listed, but he's on AHDR, which is Australian Hump Day Ride. And so this is now, boy, that was sweet. And remember Nathan talking earlier about how passing a team at the right time puts a little bit of puff of wind in your sails. And I think AHDR just caught that as well. This is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Here we go, folks. They are now full tilt boogie on their way to the finish line. It's 1K to go, even a little bit less than that as Bertoni brings this one to simmer, to saute, to boiling it over now. Pinkerton coming through. Great job by Pinkerton here to be able to be with the group. 5 riders can press on. Now, Nathan, you're just looking for that avalanche as we bring them on home. AHDR can win this race today, absolutely. No Pins R3R trying to fend them off. Battle Royale here today in 5th week of ZRL.
Here we go to the line now. Every last power stroke's going to matter. Mr. T coming on through. I love it here, but Tony's there as well to the front, coming out of Italy. Now back. I love how they're rotating through. This is perfect, actually. Nobody's backing off. Just every little bit of speed that they can grab on the front. They let roll right to the front. Last little gallop's going to happen here in just a moment, and it could have won it right here for AHDR Cheesecake crew.
This is the bike racing equivalent of putting water in the shampoo bottle to get out the last tiny bit. Swish it around. That was the last watt you've got. Good job. These are the first jet riders coming through. Their time will be taken off of their 4th rider. This looks like the Armada as WLC with 6 riders here together. Nathan, very few teams will finish with 6 today. I'm impressed. So let's see. They were sitting in 3rd at the split. After what we just saw from Cheesecake Crew and No Pins R3R, that battle, I think they'll hold on to 1st and 2nd, but this is the team that's coming here to upset the apple cart. Let's see what Wahoo Lacole can do.
39:11 is the time to beat from No Pins R3R men that just came through. 39:11 just coming through from No Pins R3R. 39:11 is what we're looking to try and beat here, it looks like, from the rest of the teams. We'll see what they can pull off here. Then. It is. It really is. And,
they would have to be going 70 kilometers per hour to do that. So
HDR Cheesecake Crew here now, 32:19. Their time should be coming in any moment. We'll see what It was, though. It came right to the line. I believe it was a 2-second gap between R3R and AHDR. Now Wahoo Lacole are sitting in that third place 32-41.
And they're in
was
good shape
quite
there.
a gap here. I think
Yeah.
they're going to hold down. Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Their issue is now, and either way, they've got such a buffer on both ends. Even if they go
they
full
did
gas.
it, Dave. They did it. The Cheesecake Crew, they pulled it off. 39.09
Oh my
by
gosh.
1.19 seconds.
Oh, baby. What a ride from the Australian Humphrey right
Dunphy
there.
with this 550. Pulling it off, Dave.
And again, a little bit of luck having that jet team to pass. That certainly, it was beautiful out there. It all came together for the Australians today. Cheesecake Crew, you earned an extra thick piece of cheesecake here. Throw some raspberry sauce
WLC
on it.
are yelling at each other in game. Work! I just saw one of the riders, Old Milk, just said, work. Get on it. Let's go. They're really
That's
trying
funny.
they're cracking the whip now at this point for the WLC crew as they come to the line. Over the top, it looks like it is going to be money. See if I got that right there. But now I didn't realize the SST team actually has a pro rider out here. Yeah.
So this beautiful flag, the Italian tricolor there. That the way that Nathan is easily able to identify that, you can see the little orange jersey in the next to Bevilacqua's name there. Well, that's highly coveted. Actually, what being validated on Twitter this is even more so. It's even obviously much more elite group here, but that means you're on a UCI registered pro team, and that's thoroughly vetted too. That little orange jersey has never led me astray. Leah Thorvaldsen had one earlier, and she absolutely deserves it.
A Z coming on through Boulder. Is there a 33.03 at the last checkpoint? See what they can throw down. They were trying to chase down the Wahoo Lacole team, and they were part of the reason probably why the whip was being cracked. Wahoo Lacole do come through with a 32.48 that just came on through, so they will be holding down currently in third place. I think you were right, Dave. They most likely should be able to hold that down. Looking through most of these times as they came in. SDW 2240. Yeah, too far back. So it does look like I think right. Wahoo Lacole are going to be pretty solid there in that third place.
Not a bad day at all. And it's a marathon, not a sprint when you look at ZRL season 3 of 21-22 that we're here, and we're deep into it. We're really into the swan song of the final one more regular season race, and then we'll be back with 2 finales to look forward to. And Nathan, it's certainly been a great season. We really reinforced the ranks with the quality of riders that we've got out here. We're looking at 2 different things happening at the same time with this group, as we've got finish times coming through for the top teams out here. And then you can see that lat split at 24K. That's effectively the end of the climbing. Actually, right after that split, you have a little bit of a riser that you have to go over, but that's neither here nor there because everybody's past that point out here, and we're looking at now the fastest times coming in. Electric Spirit Skyweb on screen right now here, and they've only got a couple more seconds until this effort is finally over out here. Done and done. There's Electric Spirit Co.
Yeah, where is Electric Spirit Co. in the standings here? Are they at the top? What?
I know, this is weird. Hold on, because that came out of nowhere.
Top. Well, no, but it makes sense. It makes sense because they were last place team, so they started last. So, I mean, it just
yeah, but we haven't seen them at the other splits until now.
No, I totally saw them. I called it out earlier, Dave,
you did?
They were right on the wheels of HDR Cheesecake, for sure.
They're going to do it.
They're going to win. They're going to win.
This is incredible.
I think they've done it. This is insane. Archer coming on through. I thought we're going to start closing out the cast, whatever, but boom, Electric Spirit Co. come through. They might have done it. I'm going to wait for this time to post.
You're right. That's what Katie Loker was talking about earlier when you brought up her comment, right? So that explains the late start because the teams are ranked. So it'd be incredibly rare for a 9th start team to win.
Yeah, they were starting. So if you see there at the bottom, they were in 9th and 44 points. But
so
that
was an
because
outlier.
They missed the first week. Yeah.
Right. So they had 0 points. They put a big goose egg up there, which then put them behind, but obviously huge talent to win out there. So ultimately, Australian Hump Day Ride does beat No Pins, but Electric Spirit Company comes through late to take the win today. Wow.
Wolfpack 4 just coming through. I want to highlight that team as they just they pulled 11:14 at their 8K, 16K. They did 21:51 and a 33:33. We'll see if they were able to get the better of Jet Racing team. They may have Jet really struggling today, and if they were able to hold off the Italians with Scanatori that were right behind them. As they Dirt Wolfpack just coming forward. There's so many Dirt Wolfpack teams out there. It's hard to keep track of, which is amazing that there's so many dads inside riding trainers. And Dave, this is wow. We've had upset after upset after upset so far in this group here. And look at this, Dave. They pull it off, and it came right down to the line. I'm gonna have to reload this page here real quickly, but it was very, very close at the end of the day. 4 seconds, Dave. 4 seconds they bring back. HDR, I thought that they were going to win against No Pins R3R and take it down overall, but no, Electric Spirit, they bring in the TTT result.
Yeah, 3 within 7 seconds of each other after 30K. Some incredibly close finishes. The racing is at an all-time high level out here. What a final team time trial to have for the regular season of Season 3 here. Hey, it's actually some teams are still out on course. It's not a short day on the bike. Well over 40 minutes for almost everyone out here. Keeping it
and I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and give the that goes to Electric Spirit Co. today for sure.
That's fair.
But and the reason being the heroes out here today because they really made what felt like this upset. They showed up on the day. They're way behind on points. And I think the 5K to go hero then is going to go to Electric Spirit Co. because
good call.
I think they not only with a lot of them hanging out in chat, looks like a lot of people pretty excited about it. Their Das Carter even coming in. And I want to shout out him as well because tomorrow's a big day for BL13 with what they pulled off last week, Dave, in the knockouts. And for him to highlight and say a big comeback for Electric Spirit is I think
good community member
cool.
there.
Yeah, great community member. And Daz, I want to hear what you're thinking about tomorrow's knockouts, Daz, as we start to look forward to Wednesday, as well as we obviously have America's East and America's West later tonight for the America side of the ZRL. But BL13 last week, Dave, they pulled off what seemed to be the impossible for sure.
Incredible. I have heard nothing but great things as far as feedback about that format of knockout racing. Tomorrow, we're into our semifinals, so we're going to be going from 4 down to the final 2 teams. I really hope you can join us. Honestly, you've never seen anything quite like this in esports. The format, again, we can break it down for you tomorrow, as obviously today is all about CRL, but it's unique, it's exciting, it's short, fast racing, and it's varied as well. Each week has been different. So we're moving into our 3rd week, but only 4 teams remain, and that's men and women. So 8 teams total, 4 on each side. It's awesome, though. I haven't had this much fun in a long time with a new format, Nathan. It's extremely cool.
There was some finishers in the women's EMEA West Div 1 for the D category, actually. They just hadn't finished yet out on course. So we'll go ahead and highlight those, and then we will jump into the men's results that we just watched here. So it was Galaxy Cosmic Velocity that were at the top of the women's EMEA West Div 1D with a 54-13. The WCC Diamonds come through 126 back from them. Herd of Yellow-Eyed Penguins in with a 127. The What's Up Demons coming through for 4th. That's 3rd and 4th respectively. And then it's going to be Aeonian Divas there for 5th. It's going to be Herd of Fairy Penguins in for 6th. Rave and Loonies, one of my favorite team names of all time by far, in for 7th. And the Herd of Emperor Penguins rounded out at 313 back for 8th place. That's the D category for Div 1 in EMEA West. The men's racing that we just watched, Dave, there it is.
They're going to run out of penguin varietals pretty quickly here. How many kinds of penguins can there possibly be? So, all right, Electric Spirit Co. Sling with an unbelievable ride, a stunner. And the more you know, though, because it's certainly not a surprise to that team. So congratulations to the mixed men's EMEA North Division 1A champion here today in Week 5. AHDRL Cheesecake Crew put up a valiant fight. Again, 3 teams within 7 seconds. So no pins R3R right there for a well-earned bronze medal. It's Wahoo Lacole A2 in 4th, SC Balder 5th, Jet Racing Team 6th, Dirt Wolfpack 4 and 7th, WTRL Skyweb in 8th, SDW ABISPA in 9th, and Scanalatore Seriali Magnetic Days will be in our top 10 here in the ZRL.
And in with the B category, the Dirty Beast Behemoths come on in for first place at a 41-44. It's Racing Without Borders Emerald Flyers, 8 seconds back at second place. It's going to be WKG Bombers in third. Only a 1 second difference between them and Valhalla Legbiter for fourth place. It's going to be 157 for Rafa, 157 back there in fifth place for Rafa RCC B1. Galaxy Atomic Blast in sixth, followed up by Herd of Pacing Palominos in 7th, and Foudre Bordeaux in for 8th place at 257 back. We may have a little bit of time before some of the other categories come on through. I do want to highlight the season finale cup finals, though, as we have gotten some information. That is, I believe this is listed over on the website as well. Can you confirm for me? But
fresh info.
But this is going to be fresh info coming on in for what is happening. It went out to the team emails. Thank you so much, Dave. Martin, for letting me know that. So, and this is going to be what is happening for the Cup Finals. Interesting across. So the top 7 teams from EMEA, EMEA, East, as you can see there as well, are going to go up to the EMEA East Cup Final for 14 teams total. And then the top 7 teams for that go up and battle against EMEA A's for their Cup Final for a total of 30 teams for places 1 through 30. As you can see there at the very top, the EMEA A for the Cup Final. And then there's a Platinum Final at EMEA Plate Final there, excuse me. So there's a difference here that there's Shield at the bottom for your top 60 to, your top 60 through 115. And then at the top end, you have your plate final, which is your top 1 through 60. So essentially, everybody has somewhere to play for, and it isn't just kind of like a playoffs where everyone is out. So I'm being told, bear in mind, this is an example for EMEA A1 divisions. It repeats for almost every other level, B, C, and D. So everyone is going to be able to be placed and find a ranking at the end of the season in this tournament tournament find your best placing style to battle it out for the final cup. Essentially, like, you've got your, what I compare it to, Dave, is NCAA football kind of has something similar to this with your final bowls, Dave. At the end of the year, you have a lot of different bowls that end up playing for championships that are at the end of that season. Everybody gets somewhere to place then and have a final winning competition.
Racers want to race, don't they? That's one thing we've really found with WTRL and the ZRL is the appetite for racing and competition and just good-spirited fun never ceases to stop impressing me. That's for sure. It also shows you when you look at this how complex it is to do what Martin does. So a huge thank you to Martin for organizing this league and putting so much thought and passion into it. So we've got a lot of racing to look forward to here. Make sure you stay properly fueled and hydrated out there, because today is not an easy day on the bike for everybody who watched. I see Dan Pedrosa and company, Nathan, have been watching along. It's always great to see community members supporting community members out here. Whew, what a day. Some upsets, some stunners, and some very, very impressive efforts.
Yeah, and I think this is really going to set up for the end of the season for sure, as we head into the back end of season 3 in this 2022 year. Make sure to hit those follow buttons, everybody. Everybody head on over to WTRL.racing for the rest of the results. We'll be back for East. In East, we will be able to cover a little bit further and broader across the categories. Within EMEA, it becomes a little bit more difficult to jump across. For 2 reasons. I just like to have a lot of transparency, let everybody know. There is just so much racing going on, it's hard to keep track of. And also the tools we have, they don't work as well when there's multiple events going on. And when it gets more than 2, it gets really, really difficult. And it's almost impossible, actually, to get across the categories with what we currently have to work with. So again, though, when we jump into East and West later tonight, we'll have a little bit more opportunity, especially in the team time trial. We have opportunity to jump across easier. So we'll try to do that tonight. Again, hit those follow buttons, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. You want to know anytime we go live. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you in just a few hours for America's East. As always, everyone, right on.
Let them see your perfect imperfections. Don't hide from bad feeling, 'cause they just want your words. I won't let them take me. No, I won't let them break me. No one on this earth can bring me down. Now I'm standing tall. I won't ever fall. Concentrate on the tightrope. The hope that you make it through to the other side. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Let them see your perfect imperfections. Don't hide from bad feeling, 'cause they just want your